Hello, everybody. I would like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Allison, could we please have a roll call?
Yes. Trustee Dannersberger. Here. Trustee Eck.
Here.
Trustee Farrell Mayer.
Here.
Trustee Kennedy.
Present.
Trustee Metz is absent. And Trustee O'Loughlin.
Here.
And, of course, Mayor Hinshaw.
Thank you. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody. We have a sign-in sheet and agendas off to the side, and we do broadcast these meetings, and we also videotape, and they get put on our website after a couple days. First item of business is the mayor's report, and we have an opening on planning and zoning, and the application process is open until Sunday. So if interested, you can see Andy, anybody up here, John, myself, and again, that's Sunday, and then we plan to have somebody to nominate at the next meeting. Next item is the Wolf Road update. Tonight, the village board will be voting on the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement, or the IGA. We've heard from the residents, and so this amendment that we're going to talk about tonight has more public involvement, Corridor Advisory Committee, or CAC, and potentially 2 new alternatives for the Phase 1 project. The county has agreed to the amendment, and at their cost, it'll be several $100,000. And as stated before, I think everybody knows that the county is the Wolf Road is a county road, so they pay the bills, but Indian Head Park is the lead agency. And I asked the village board to approve this amendment to the IGA to give the residents what they asked for. And as reminding that failing to approve this amendment will keep us on our existing intergovernmental agreement with no extra public involvement, no corridor advisory committee, and no new alternatives. We have 2 anniversaries for this month. Officer Lou Dimatomo, and he's celebrating 5 years, and Officer Eric Forster is celebrating 24 years of service with the village. And lastly, for the board, it's that time again to be thinking about goals for next year. So over the next few months, please think about ideas for goals. And for everybody here, we take a list of ideas, put them together. The village board kind of votes and sorts, and then at the end, somewhere around April, we vote on 2, 3, 4 goals, or at least that's what we've done in the past. All right, with that, we are at the public comments. If you'd like to comment, please come to the podium. Anybody? And there is another opportunity at the end of the meeting, but I don't see anybody. Okay, consent agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion on the...
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sean and Charlie. Any questions? Comments? John, could you read the financials, please? I don't think we have, or Brenda?
For the end of October, we had cash on hand of $3,457,747. Total for all warrants for November was $1,272,347. Total revenue for November was $472,002, and ending bank balance is $2,657,402.
John, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, some highlights on the bills. We had $188,000 in our road bond payment. That was principal and half the interest for the year. We had $106,000 for the in situ form on the sanitary sewer. $364,000 was a partial payment for our road program. We had engineering bills totaling $70,000.
All right, thank you. Again, last opportunity for questions, comments. I don't see any. Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Hack.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee Farrell Mayer.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
And Trustee Farrell Mayer is absent tonight.
No, Trustee Metz.
I'm sorry. I got caught off
Okay.
guard here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and that has been approved. So we're on to new business, and I would like to request that ordinance 2022-40 be removed from the agenda because that item is still with Public Works. Is that
Planning and
correct?
zoning.
Yeah, planning and zoning. My bad. Okay, new business. First item is A, swearing in of a new police officer. Brenda, is this you?
Yes.
Mike Majewski, come on up. A quick explanation for Mike being here is that he's our new full-time police officer. He completed the academy in 2019 and worked for a couple other police departments, and then he realized that Indian Head Park was the best. So he has come down here. So,
Smart guy.
yes. So, Brenda, I'm sorry, a little more. He's a graduate of St. Xavier College in the city, where he had a B+ average or A- average. Which one should I say? And tonight he's here with his folks and his girlfriend. And why don't you make the proper introductions of who they are?
My dad, my mom, my girlfriend, and my girlfriend's mom.
Brenda, it's all yours.
I, Michael Majewski,
I, Michael Majewski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police officer of the Village of Indian Head Park
of police officer of the Village of Indian Head Park
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys want to come up and get pictures with the chief or whoever? Or not, you don't have to.
You too. Thank you.
Oh, that was quick.
One of the fun things to do.
All right, second item B, ordinance 2022-39, the shed at Osceola Trail.
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2022-39, an ordinance allowing for the special use for a shed at 6612 Osceola Trail.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Rita and Charlie. Andy?
Yes, so this is our actual last shed special use petition that's in the books. The petitioner submitted all the required materials, and the petitioner is here tonight, Mr. Jose Pinedo. He'll come up and he's going to give a little presentation that he made for the board. So,
Welcome.
How you doing? Jose
Good.
Pinedo, resident at 6612 Osceola. It's my wife Julie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hello.
And if you look over here at a few of the pictures we pulled up. This is the view of close up to the shed. The middle picture is obviously 294 rear. There's no neighborings behind me that I'm probably blocking or, taking away greenery from, that you could say. On the left of it's Joliet Road, which is already a 6-foot tall fence. I don't have shrubbery there, but I could screen it if need be. To the right of the shed, there's a pretty mature tree. The only reason I haven't planted any screenery there is because I don't want to affect tree roots, you could say. Maybe kill that tree. If we go to the second slide, that's kind of looking from the street or the kind of cul-de-sac where I live at. The shed is very hard to see from the street. Bird's eye view. Again, different angle. Bottom right corner is bird's eye view of looking down on the property, and the shed is in the farthest left corner. Again, every case is different. I'm just seeing if there's a possibility where I can keep my shed. Again, I store pesticides. I take care of my own grass. I don't outsource for people to come out and cut my lawn. So I have you could say, fuel that I don't want to store in my garage to be at reach of my daughter or any pet, you know. I just want to keep that outside locked up. And again, that's another full picture. Some construction in the back going around in 294. Who knows what that's about, but that's mainly it.
Well, thank you. I have to say that this is, in my view, the best presentation that we've ever had for shed, so thank you. Any questions or comments from the trustees?
So it's been up for 2 years.
Roughly
Did you
2 years.
know you needed to talk to the village before you put it up?
At the time, no. Not when I moved in.
How long have you been in there?
2 years. I've
Oh.
been there a little over 2 years. I bought the property in October, I want to say.
I have a question. I don't know if Andy, if you want to chime in on this. What's the discussion around the 3 sides screening that we require? It almost seems like it's a moot point in this case because nobody can see the shed anyway, but did planning and zoning have any input on that?
So it would probably need a little bit more screening on that right side, maybe another arborvitae or something like that. Because the idea is typically when we require screening in the code, it's supposed to be 75% the height of whatever is being screened. But in this case, obviously, you got the fence and the tollway, so I think really you would just need another planting maybe right near that tree.
Sound okay?
That's perfectly fine with me.
Any other questions or comments?
I would just say the Planning and Zoning Commission did not approve this because based on the direction from our board that we did not want to approve sheds on the west side of Wolf Road, based on the ordinance that restricted the unattached buildings on the property. So I just want the board to be aware of that. I was at that meeting, and that was their position.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I would say really quick, I think one thing that does set this apart a little bit from a lot of the other homes on the west side is that he has a partial basement, not a full. Isn't that correct?
Partial basement, 2 crawl spaces,
And
attached garage.
thank you. Was there another shed a few doors east of that house that was approved?
Yes, it was approved.
Are there any, okay, so are there, other than that one and this one, are there any others up against that fence on Joliet Road?
Not to our knowledge. I think it's just the one that was approved in this one.
And we've also asked all of our neighbors if they are bothered by it, if there's any concern. We also have all their signatures from all of our immediate neighbors,
Immediate.
everyone that can visibly see it from their backyard.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Are we ready to vote? Clerk Allison, could you please take us through a vote?
Trustee Farrell Mayer.
Aye.
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Dordensberger.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy.
No.
And Trustee Metz is absent tonight.
So thank you. That has been
Yes,
approved.
it has.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to the village.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have pulled, I believe, item C, the ordinance for 2022. So the tollway reconstruction landscaping in the village. D?
Wasn't there one before that?
Yes, there is.
Oh, Danielle?
Appointment.
Okay. So Danielle Svetska, Would somebody like to make, I am nominating Danielle to join the Tree and Landscape Committee.
And I'll make a motion to accept the mayor's recommendation to appoint Danielle Svetska to the Tree and Landscaping Committee.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sean and Eileen. Sean, do you want to?
Sure. So a few months ago, we started talking about putting together a tree and landscaping committee in the village. Reached out to a number of residents, got the committee set, and after our first meeting, one of the residents that agreed to be on it reached out to me and asked that he be taken off. Just didn't think that he could give a lot of input in that area specifically. At that same meeting, Danielle was there, and I was very much impressed with her breadth and scope of knowledge of trees and landscaping. So reached out to her to see if she would be interested. She said yes, so we're just looking to replace her to somebody that asked to step down.
Sean, is there any limitation in terms of the number of people on your committee? Or mayor?
Thank you, Pat.
I'm not sure who to address the question to.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a set rule or anything. We have 7 residents and 2 what I would call consultants right now. I know there's a couple other people recently that have come forward. I did talk to a resident the other day, and we're going to consider possibly expanding or having them as a backup to, there's been another person on the committee that has not shown up to either one of the first 2 meetings. So I'm going to reach out to them to see if they're still interested. If not, we just might look at replacements.
Who are the 2 consultants?
So Thomas Brennan in our neighborhood, and then in our own public works department, we have an arborist, Don Lorenzo.
So one sort of a volunteer and the other staff.
Yeah.
Thomas and Don are staff.
Yeah.
Does Brennan get paid through his internship?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Clerk Allison, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Farrell Mayor.
Aye.
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
That has passed.
Thank you. Okay. Item E, tollway reconstruction, landscaping in the village.
So I'd like to bring up a few things in regards to the letter that that John DeRocher had submitted to the trustees.
Yeah.
And that a couple of the items is that I believe that there should be better exhibits within that letter going to the tollway, and that right now you're sending 2 beautiful photos as far as the way the landscaping was at one time, but I think we should be sending them the videos showing the water overflowing into the streets, and just the way it looks. We could put it on a flash drive.
Yeah.
And send it to them. And then I also think it's very important that we send this to state representatives and also the county commissioner. I would send it to Jim Durkin, include Jim Durkin, John Curran, and also Sean Morrison. And so that way they can see exactly what is happening down there as well and be an advocate for us. Not only just down by the frontage road in Keokuk, but I'm talking about going all the way straight down Flat Creek.
John or Sean, did you want to give us the intro and do what we're talking about here?
Sure, I will. At the corner, the northwest corner of Sacagawea Park, where frontage road curves into Keokuk, the tollway at Plainfield Road, there's a lot of earth moving going on, and pretty much a lot of it has been stripped bare of any kind of foliage. And stormwater is now overtopping that intersection during heavy rains where it did not used to before. And the village is concerned that it's going to remain that way, that the berms and swales that were removed will not be replaced. So that is a major concern. Also on that corner, there was some dense foliage, some evergreens that were removed. So now you have a clear shot of the tollway where before it was blocked by foliage. So not only from a soil erosion perspective, we're concerned, but from a sound perspective, we're also concerned. So this letter is addressing it, and we're not sure that the tollway, based on the plan submitted, really understands our needs. So the letter will bring this to their attention fully.
And John, if I understand it right, the reason for the removing of the evergreens and the changing of the soil is because that's a construction area.
It is.
And they have vehicles going up and down where before they couldn't because of the ditch and the evergreens.
Correct. And the purpose of this letter is to put the tollway and ultimately the county too, because there is some overlap in the areas that we are watching this and we have concerns, and we do want to protect that area from stormwater runoff and sight and sound noise from the tollway.
Well, part of the concern too is that John and myself and Danielle Savetska, we had met with the tollway engineer as well as two of the representatives. And they, at that time, because we asked about what they were going to do with that flat land, and they said that Indian Head Park and Western Springs had requested that. I have no idea who had requested that, but that was brought up to our attention at that time. So we do have concerns because even at one point, there was water where they actually had to bring in generators to remove the water from the streets and from the ditch across by the park. And it's continuously happening when there's bad rains.
John, are you okay adding a comment that we have attached a video and other pictures and then sending that to Durkin and Sean Morrison?
Yeah, absolutely, that's fine.
Are there other questions or comments for this item? Everybody good? Consensus? Thumb up, right? This is not a vote, correct, John?
Consensus.
Consensus, everybody? Rita, good? Okay, thank you. The next item is property tax ordinance.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2022-41 establishing the property tax levy for the village.
I second it.
Thank you, Brenda and Eileen. John, is this you?
Yes, it is. So the next two items go hand in hand, so I'm going to explain both of them at the same time. At the last board meeting, we passed the property tax extension resolution where we set the tax levy for the upcoming year. This is the ordinance that tells the county where that money will go and how it will be distributed. I tried to place it within our budget, within budget line items can absorb a hit in case we do not get our full allocation. So if there is a reduction, and that's will be the resolution, we will reduce that line item accordingly based on property tax revenues. We've never had this happen fully in a fiscal year, so I really doubt that it will happen, but the ordinance provides for tax distribution among the departments.
Thank you. Any questions for John? Okay, rolling right along. Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee O'Loughlin?
Aye.
Trustee Farrell Mayor?
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
And Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Thank you. That has been approved.
That's an approved, and Metz is absent. All right, next one, Brenda, is that you?
Yes. I make a motion to pass ordinance 2022 that's 41. Is that correct?
It would be the tax extension, the property tax extension limitation resolution. Do I have that wrong in the motion index?
Okay. It should be 08-2021.
Item G in the motion
2022.
index.
Okay. So I make a motion to pass ordinance 2022-41 establishing.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I had that wrong. It should be resolution 08-2022.
2022, not 2021.
Yes,
Right. Oh, wait,
my mistake.
Well, it's right here and wrong there and right there and wrong there, so.
Scrivener's error.
Yes.
Okay, I'm making a motion to pass ordinance 2022. Oh, I'm sorry. I make an ordinance to pass ordinance 08-2022. establishing the property tax levy for the village.
Extension.
Second.
No.
Who was the second?
Charlie.
Charlie, thank you.
Did you want that as an ordinance or as a resolution?
Okay.
I'll amend my second to say resolution.
And Brenda, you're okay that it's resolution?
Yes,
right?
I'm fine with that, thank you.
Okay, John, anything to add?
No.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions, comments? Clerk Allison?
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee Farrell Mayor.
Aye.
And Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
All right, all ayes. Approved.
Okay, item H, ordinance 2022-42, IGA amendment, Cook County Wolf Road.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-42, an ordinance amending the intergovernmental agreement with Cook County. This includes a task order with Strand and Associates in the amount of $434,783. This amount is subject to reimbursement by the county.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Rita and Sean.
I'll move to amend this ordinance to be consistent with the two-page report that I handed out earlier to the board this afternoon.
I second that.
Any questions or comments, discussion?
Will this have to then go back to Cook County for their review and approval?
Yes,
And they could raise objections and agree or not agree to the amendments?
correct.
If they did, then it would come back, then it would have to, if they did raise objections. So just so everyone's aware, the motion on the floor is to approve the agreement subject to these modifications that are sent forth.
Correct.
So if the county didn't agree with those, then the next step would be to bring it back to you all and tell you what they agreed to or didn't agree to.
And what we have before us was approved by the county, so this, of course, is a change, and as Pat said, if we go down this path, we'll see what they say.
Well, I have to support Charlie in this. I think that his changes really reflect what we heard at all of our community meetings. And I'm not sure that the original amendment as approved by the board did that. So I would strongly recommend that we adopt this into the amendment and then send it to the county.
When I think you said amendment, I think you mean agreement, right? Just for clarification. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, but that was what the village board approved, the original IGA, right?
Well, since then, we've heard an awful lot from our residents, right? So
All
I
right,
think
yeah.
that after, I'd hate to say we had those meetings in vain and we didn't listen to our residents. I think we need to reflect that.
Yep.
Well, I think the amendment does answer the residents' request to a great extent by creating the PIP and the CAC. This is more, it looks to me like these amendments are more based on language and being more alternative. I did have a question, though. It does ask that one amendment state that the addition of replacement of asphalt and/or possible reconstruction and widening of Wolf Road. I'm not clear on what replacement of asphalt means. So Charlie, if you can.
Yeah, that just, these suggestions here are ones that just leave open to the PIP and the CAC alternatives. The way it's written originally limits their focus in a number of areas. And so we're looking to use words like may rather than will. And as it relates to the cross-section that you asked specifically about, that just leaves open an option for the PIP or the CAC to make their recommendation. The way it's written originally didn't allow for that particular alternative. I'm not recommending that's an alternative that we'll end up with. I'm just saying that we need to not close any doors.
Okay, now, but does replacement of asphalt mean the road would just stay the same and exactly like it is except be paved over? Is that your understanding of this language?
That's a possibility.
Okay. It was my understanding that the county, if they do anything out there, is going to, make the road come up to a certain standard. And
Correct.
that's just my understanding. So I just wanted to clarify that.
And that, I think, is a good point. And one thing that was said, the PIP is a plan, so the PIP is not going to determine anything or have involvement. It's the CAC, the Corridor Advisory Committee. The PIP is what gets us to the CAC. But yes, the county to work on Wolf Road has to bring it up to current standards. So to me, this is something that it's up to the county if they want to accept this language. I don't think they're just going to replace it as is, but if they want to have that in, the amendment, they will. And if they don't, they won't. We'll find out when we send it to them.
Well, then we negotiate with them.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're open.
And I
so
think
let's-
they were here at many of our meetings. They heard the same thing we heard.
Yeah.
So I
But like
really
in
think
this
that-
example, I don't see, everything I've heard at the meetings is that they are not going to replace the existing Wolf Road in the same footprint, that's not current road standards. So we may want that, we may ask for that, but I don't see that happening. So to me, I don't know if the county will allow this language or not, and if we pass this, we'll send it to them and find out. It's that easy.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Pat, I don't know if you or John or if Strand has any idea, how long do we think it'll take for the county to review this and get back to us? Any way of knowing?
I don't know. We would find out. The holidays typically slow things down a little bit. I would say it won't be a week, and it may be a couple months.
Okay.
That sound okay? I'm looking. At least a couple months. Yeah. At least a couple months. Okay, any other questions or comments? One question I had, Charlie, I think it's the page 5 amendment, asking, no, I'm sorry, it's the last on the first page. Final location drainage study report shall be submitted to MWD for their preliminary review. I know that it goes to MWRD. I'm not sure of what phase. If this is something that wasn't for this first phase 1, would you be in favor of the village paying for that? If there's more money because it's going, and again, I don't know, if it wasn't on there, my guess is that would be a phase 2 process.
Let me catch up with the form here. I spread my papers out, and I've managed to confuse myself here. Aha.
Because so far,
Okay.
the county is paying for everything. We pay for it and we get reimbursed. But in this case, and I'm just trying to understand, in case the county asks, if that submittal to MWRD for their preliminary work costs money, is that something that you would be willing for the village to look at paying?
Unequivocally, it depends. How much are we talking about? And we don't know that. If we're talking about a minor amount as opposed to a large amount, I just don't know. So we can get that in our process and make a decision at that time.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? John, remind me, we had talked about Vine Street, and this, Charlie's paperwork is saying remove that section. I thought we said to leave that in the off chance that we do. This is on page 2, the second item where it says remove section 10.16, no longer needed, and it's talking about the review of the potential Vine Street connection to Wolf Road. I think in our discussions, we said that that's unlikely.
Correct.
But I thought we had said to leave that in just in case. So I don't know, how do you remember that?
The board voted to unencumber the tollway money because we do not envision Vine Street going through because of alignment issues with the new tollway ramp. So the Vine Street extension will probably not happen.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
So are we voting on Charlie's?
Yeah, this is on the
Okay.
amended motion.
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Farrell Mayor.
Aye.
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Darnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. That has been approved. Moving along to the next item, reports. Trustee Metz is the first one up, but I'll start with Eileen. Any
See what they said?
reports?
You know, after a flurry of activity, we were meeting several weeks in a row. We took the month of November off. We will be meeting again next week. I'm referring to the Economic Development Committee. So we'll be looking at a number of things. We'll be looking at some proposals for Vine Street. We'll be looking at the proposal for the triangle area there, the dome area. And we're going to start planning for some kind of spring fling up there at the triangle in the springtime. Make it sort of a family fest kind of a thing once the weather gets a little bit warmer.
That it?
That's it.
Thank you. Sean?
We had our second Tree and Landscape Committee meeting. Topics that were discussed, sounds like people are leaning towards possibly writing a new ordinance to require, John, correct me if I'm wrong, was it just landscaping crews, not necessarily residents on the gas versus electric?
I think it was everybody.
Was it everybody? All right. Looking at making an ordinance that leaf blowers and weed whackers to start with, potentially onto lawnmowers and other things, to be electric in the village. Noise pollution, gas pollution. We also talked about more buckthorn removal testing. Looking at possibly some residents that have buckthorn. There's been some questions as to when to remove it, what time of year, based on the soil, the ease of pulling it out of the ground, and then if treated afterwards with chemicals or other ways of just keeping the buckthorn at bay. We also talked about plantings that are resistant to buckthorn. So once the buckthorn's taken out, purposely put certain types of plantings that will resist more buckthorn coming later on. We also have Don, our Public Works arborist, probably about at least a year ago, started a tree farm in Public Works, and we talked about expanding that, either on Public Works or other parts of the village, just as a idea, Arrowhead Point. Land in the village that's not being used for anything right now, that maybe we can build up more of our plantings. So stay tuned for more. That's it.
Thank you. Brenda?
Yes, on Sunday, December 18th, Santa Claus will be coming to Black Hawk Park between 11 and 1 p.m. We'll also have the reindeer from Whispering Pines again this year, which is really exciting. There'll also be a craft and as well as treats and a food drive. So that'll be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. over at Black Hawk Park.
Anything else?
That is it.
Thank you. Rita?
Yes, I was informed by John that there's going to be a walkthrough of the Heritage Center on December 20th by Strand, to following up on the study that was done, or the review that was done by Altus. So I'm hoping we'll have something to report back on that in January, or I will. That's all.
Thank you. Charlie?
No report.
Thank you. Village Clerk?
No report.
Thank you. Treasurer's not here. Village Attorney?
No report, seeking a closed session later in the meeting for collective bargaining purposes.
Thank you, Pat. Village Administrator?
Yes, there will be a finance meeting on the 14th of December at 6 p.m. We will be posting notice and agenda shortly. We're going to start talking about mid-year review during that meeting and setting up the budget for next year. So we will be having at least 3 finance committee meetings, and then in February, we will have our first reading of the budget. In March, we will have our second reading of the budget and public hearing, and then April, we will pass the budget for the new fiscal year. So that is the budget timeline for the upcoming year. Stormwater complaints, that's a report that you're going to get monthly. It's just in your packet. Anybody who has stormwater issues, please visit our portal. We have a portal that you can submit stormwater management complaints, and we will put it on the list, and we will investigate accordingly.
And at some point, will we have a report about the number of issues that we've talked about?
Correct.
And ongoing action items?
Correct. To date, we have no life safety issues reported. Most of them are classified as nuisance. Stormwater management issues, basically, if you're getting water in your house, that's a life safety issue. But if you have a backyard that's mushy, that's a nuisance issue. And we're going to be trying to address everything to some degree.
In the rankings, I think it's life safety, then structural, then nuisance?
Correct.
Is that right? And I think you just said everything has been in the nuisance category
Correct.
so far.
I'm sorry, when was that, John?
When was?
Your review?
There's a report
There's a report.
in the packet, but the review we're going to have at some point in the future where we can talk about what, the summary of who we've talked to, what we've done, and then action steps.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Assistant Village Administrator, Andy?
Yes, so we're still waiting on the tonnages for the leaf vacuuming, but that's all complete now. We should have that for next meeting. What I will say is just a little reminder for people who are on the SBC contract. If you are disabled, you are able to get free backdoor pickup. So I'd urge you to either reach out to the village or call SBC. And then the other thing I have is our photo contest. We have narrowed it down to 4 finalists. So I'd urge all the residents to go to our village website and vote on your favorite photo, and the winner is going to be blown up and put in Village Hall. And we're going to be doing this throughout the year to get images of Indian Head Park throughout the seasons. And that's all I got.
So basically, you can submit a picture anytime. If you miss the window for this time,
Yes.
it'll go the next time.
Yes.
Thank you. And Police Department reports. Chief?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you as always.
Thank you, as
So,
always.
The highlight is the trailer bill that was passed. Good things, bad things. The actual, I forgot what the wording was from the Chiefs Association. We were neutral as far as the changes that were made. Were they good changes? Were they bad changes? Yes, to both ways. Though one of the important things was the ticketing of somebody who camped out on your front porch and didn't want to leave. That was a big concern for everybody, residents and the police. How do we handle it? What can we do? Well, it was determined that first we're going to issue them a ticket. Hey, you got to leave. No, I'm not leaving. You're under arrest. But the catch was that we had to issue that ticket first. We just don't immediately arrest them. The second one was the custodial arrest. All of the traffic Class A misdemeanors, such as a DUI, driving while your license is suspended or revoked, those are also custodial. So we're not just going to give the person a ticket on the street and say, see you later, and let them drive away. So they are going to be taken into custody, and we'll deal with them here at the police department. They will be released on an individual bond, but we're doing that already, so that's really nothing new for the people who we arrest. Body-worn cameras, the state is now going to let us use grant money or awarded money, not just for the product. We can also use it for storage. So in our case, where we're using our own server or the server that we purchased, that's going to be included in the future bond money, or I'm sorry, the grant money that we'll be able to use. Or if we're using a different body camera service where it's stored in the cloud, we'd be able to pay for that service now with the grants that are out there. So those are the two big ones that were, the three big things that the law enforcement was concerned with and how we're going to deal with it.
That's with the Safety
The
Act
Safety
that
Act.
comes into effect January 1st.
Correct. Little minuscule things, we know there's additional paperwork that Cook County's coming out with that we have to give everybody that we give a ticket to, explaining their rights from, here's your ticket, and you have so many days to appear in court, or you don't have to appear in court, you can pay it by mail, but we have to basically spoon feed the people and explain what they can do and can't do.
Isn't that already on the ticket?
Yes. But now it's going to be a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that we have to give them, and they haven't decided if we're going to do a carbon copy or a NCR paper, and have the people sign off on it, so we have proof that we gave it to you, so they can't come back later and say, well, the officer didn't give it to me. So that's what.
Body-worn camera video.
Yes. Here's your paper. So, in regard to body cameras, our IT company, AIS, they're going to be doing their installation of the hardware, I believe, second week of January, third week of January, John?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Motorola will be coming out in February to do the actual install and setup of the software and the hardware. So that's where we're standing right now.
And we're ahead of the state deadline on that, right? Well ahead.
We're 2 years ahead of it, actually. So we're well ahead of the game. So other than that, a sad note, a Lombard police officer was shot today, armed robbery at their smoke and tobacco shop. They did catch both of the offenders, and he was just not a non-life-threatening gunshot to the arm. So that was
Not one of our officers, but a police officer.
In Lombard.
Okay.
And
Right up here and,
no, Lombard,
Not in the.
not ours.
You had me going for a
We,
minute.
I wouldn't be here. So, and that's all I have. If you have any questions, I can.
Yeah, I have
try to
a
answer.
question. We've got some cameras installed now. Have they shown anything in any way, shape, or form
They've shown the stolen
that has been
license.
as value to us? That has been of value to us?
No, they've shown the 3 or 4 stolen license plates that they live in Burr Ridge, and one of the plates has been stolen and it's being reported back, and that just clicks off on the cell phone. That here the stolen auto. Well, we know it's a stolen auto. We know it's a stolen license plate, but we also know that it's a false license plate. So it's on the car that belongs to the owner. So, but it's still reported lost or stolen. In regard to our cameras, we're still waiting on Motorola to give us the cameras that we want for Wolf Road. The flock cameras that are up on Wolf Road, they're working fine. No troubles, no issues with them. Again, going back to Motorola, I don't know what's going on with them. They communicate with us. They're saying they're on the slow boat from China, and they're still waiting for them. So that's a whole another topic that I think we're going to talk about next week at the police committee meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Anything Public Works? John?
Nothing on Public Works.
Okay, I think that's it, unless I missed anybody. We're at the end of the meeting for public comments. Any public comments? Yes.
Lori Davis, 6482 Apache. Are we confident that we have reached everybody in the single-family homes about drainage? Has there been anything in the water bills or Simplicity, a way to just make sure we just get everybody who has a water issue?
We'll put out some more blast, but yeah, we've sent out, but
On Simplicity?
yes, but we can always do more, so.
Isn't there a story in Smoke Signals?
Yeah,
Haven't
and
we
in
had
the
that?
smoke
And-
signals, we got something
How
coming
about
too.
water bills? Because I think most people look at them at least.
The issue with that is not everybody in the village has village water, so
Oh,
we
in the-
try to
yeah,
get.
In the single-family
yeah.
homes, Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I'll make a motion to go to closed session, discuss collective bargaining per 5 ILCS 120 2C2, and adjourn to the regular meeting immediately after.
We'll second that.
I think, just so
Adjourn.
the record's clear, adjourn the regular meeting and go into closed session with no
Okay.
intention to return under 2C2 for collective bargaining, correct? That was what you said?
That's exactly what I meant. Thank you.
That's what I seconded.
Thank you for the clarifications.
To adjourn the regular meeting thereafter, yeah.
All in favor, say aye. What?
No,
What?
no.
Roll call?
Roll call,
Roll
thank
call.
you.
Boy, trying to get out, Pat.
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Farrell Mayor.
Aye.
And Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Did I get you all?
That has been approved. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 7:50.